Okay, so for part 2 of the duck soup tutorial, I'm going to show you how to put your sheets into your duck soup classroom that we talked about how to create earlier in the first video, and how to assign them to your class, and then how to look at it once the students have completed the assignment. So this is my duck soup. I haven't deleted any data or anything from last year. I left it up when they asked me to do this so you could see what it looks like. So let's say I want to add a new sheet. You would just go to New eSheet, and this will bring up your Google Drive. Okay, I think I mentioned it in the first video, but I'm going to show you, real specific now, how to go through this. So it will bring up your Google Drive, and you can notice the ones I just showed you that I put in that folder for this is right here at the top. They're not always going to be at the top. You can go through and look at it, look for them or whatever. You can also do PDFs if you've saved a PDF somewhere. So like if you had an old worksheet that you've saved a scanned in copy of to your computer or something, you can do that. Those are from your drive as well. Sorry. And then here's where you get it from your computer, the upload, and you can choose a file and upload. So I'm just going to grab this ELAR one. And I find it easier to do this in order, like immediately. That way it is right there at the top of the Google Drive list when you first pull it up. I find it easier to go ahead and do it so that I don't forget to add it to my classroom so that I can assign it. So here it is, the sheet that I showed you in the other video. There's the little snip of part of a passage and the two little multiple choice questions. So you'll notice I told you before, I can't change this document at all. All I can do is add my answer boxes and add my answers. I can't change anything about it. Okay? So be very careful when you're creating your document before you put it in here that you don't need to change the instructions or give them better instructions on how to answer or anything like that, because you can't go back and change it. Now you'll notice here, you may not be able to see it because of the screencast, but when you get on here, your cursor will be a plus sign. I usually hide the cursor when I'm doing screencast because I tend to move it around a lot. So it's a little plus sign. That is because you're going to add in your questions. Okay, so up here at the top you have settings, and I'll show you that in a minute. I'm going to look at the answer block first. You can click add answer block, and it will automatically kind of put one somewhere, and then you can move it around. Alright, you can cancel it, or you can click create, and it will stay where that is. Okay, you could also click enter, and it stays where it is. I like to use the cursor, and if I'm going to go down here, and I wanted them to answer this question about Derek beside the answer choices, I like to draw my box. And then once you've drawn it, you can click enter or click the create button, and that is what you see. Okay? So this question, ELAR, people don't graph if I get it wrong. I'm doing this pretty quick. So if we were going to put this in and put the answer in, you would just click in that box now, and then it brings up over here this other little toolbar that wasn't there before. And this is where your questions are and where you can delete questions, like if you accidentally put a box in. So I believe the answer to this could be B, or it could not be. And so that's in there. And let's say I wanted to add another box. Okay. Now some of you may be very OCD and need your boxes to be perfectly the same size all the time. So you can, if you click on, once you've added the box and clicked enter, you can't change the size of it. So if I didn't like this box, I could go over here and when you click on it, it highlights which question number it is with the dark. And so I could say, okay, well, I want to resize it. or I want to delete it. Okay, and so you can do that. Oh, it won't go away for some reason. It should have gone away. Alright, so, and then I could redraw it if I needed to. Push enter. Oh, it's not, it's going to, of course, mess up. So now you can see sometimes there's always a little glitch every once in a while. It's never done this to me before. Of course, it's going to do it when I'm making a screencast. Let's see. Don't know what's going on there. Let me try one more time. Literally, I've used this all year and this has not done it, but that just shows you what could happen, I guess. Alright, so there's your answer choices. Okay, now let's look at the top for settings. And let me show you, this pulls up your settings for this page. Okay, so right here it tells you when you created it, it tells you the total pages and questions, and then right here is a big deal I wanted to show you. Number of attempts per student. When I'm doing most of my math assignments, I give them 2 attempts because it's going to tell them which ones they got wrong but not what the answer is, and they can catch their mistake. You can change that. If you want to do it as a test grade and not give them, you just click on that and change this to 1. It does change it for all students in a class, but I like I said, for math, I like the 2 because it lets them do that. You can also delete the e-sheet from here. Like if you realize that you messed up on the instructions or that you're not going to do this assignment, you can delete it. Okay. All right. Now I'm not going to click on the monitor button yet because I don't have any students in this class for you to see, and I haven't assigned it yet. And then the edit button. Obviously, if I click the edit button, it's going to take me back to the page where we just were. I'm going to see if it's going to let me add this box. There we go. I don't know what it was earlier. Now, I did want to show you something. In my instructions, I said to use a capital letter. If you put it as a lowercase, that's what that's going to grade it. So you need to make sure that you put in the correct answer. Okay, and then now over here you can see it's going to assign the question number by what order you make the box. So since I made this box with a B first, it's question 1. Since I made this box second, it's question 2. You can rearrange them. I never have, so just kind of go through there. Alright, so that's kind of how you create your sheet. Once you've done all that, the sheet's there. You don't have to save or anything like that. Alright. Another thing I want to tell you while we're right here is if you ever get stuck and you're like, oh, okay, where's my menu and all that I need to get back to my classes, you can always click this little duck soup icon at the front and it takes you back to your dashboard. And then you can also click the little hamburger right at the top left. Alright, so I want to assign this now to my class. Okay? So I'm going to click the assign and unassign button. When I click the assign, it's going to bring up all of my sheets. And they're going to have kind of darkened where you can't really see them. And I'm going to say this one I just did, I want to assign it, so I'm going to check it. You can do more than one at a time if you've created more than one. And I want to assign it. And it will bring up my classes. So we made that practice class earlier, so I want it to go to that class and assign, and now it is there. So I've assigned it. If you want to come back to the same page, you can click on it and unassign it. Okay, so now I'm going to go to that practice class. I don't know why it's showing up twice. I guess I added it twice during the video. Okay. It tells you, since I don't have any students, it reminds you that you need to get them to add your class. Okay. But I'm not going to right now. And then look, it shows their assignments. And then here we could force the class to turn it in. So like if you wanted to give them a time limit and say you need to finish this in 10 minutes, then you could do that and make them all turn it in. You can monitor from here. Again, I'm not going to show you that until I get into one of my math classes from this year. Okay, or then you can go back and edit it. So you also can click on the little three dots right here, rename, assign or unassign it, regrade this class. So like if you realize one of your answer choices is wrong, you just go back to edit the sheet and change the answer choice, and then you can make it regrade it. You can change number of retries and attempts that they get to take. You can choose to hand grade it. I've never used that option before because I just haven't needed to. You can lock this e-sheet. I did use this a lot. If I was assigning a duck soup and I've already given them plenty of time to do it, instead of hiding it or making them force them to turn it in because I didn't want it to make them have a low grade, I would just lock that e-sheet for a time being, and you can always unlock it. You can share your sheets. Ms. Morgan and I use this a lot. So if she made one, she could share it with me, and I could go in and I could then switch the answers if I wanted to, or add. I could not change the actual document, but I could change the answers or delete a question if I didn't want that question for my students or something like that. And then you could also delete it. So that's how you assign. You just click on the assign, unassign, or you can click on the class and go from there. Okay? So now I want to show you about seeing the students. Now, of course, there's going to be some student names in this because I'm just doing a quick screencast. I'm not going to go back and block it out, so remember. Oh, sorry. So I'm going to go to my math class. So confidential, names are confidential, just kind of showing you. Okay, so you can see here, my first class. I can go to settings, and I can change the name. I can lock the class out. I can delete the class. Okay? And then it still shows my code, and then I can also manage students. To manage students, I told you earlier that there's no point putting in their student ID or anything because they can log in with their Google. If a student did, you can see I had a few kids who did. It shows you that. You can change their password. If they ended up doing something to their password, you can remove them from your class. And then you can change their name. Alright, remember, when you logged in and created your account, it makes you check your name. So if your student decided to be silly and change their name to something like The Bomb or something, you can go back and change that for them without them, being able to have to do it themselves. Okay, so I'm just going to click on one of these. I don't know. Let's go for the inequalities quiz. If you click on the actual name of the quiz, it pulls this up. It tells you how many students completed the assignment, and then it gives you a quick rundown of the questions. The answer shows up here. So like if I told you earlier, if you realized a lot of people were getting this wrong for your class average, if one of your class averages was like 10%, then you could go and say, wait a minute, maybe I get the answer wrong, and then you can go back to the sheet and change that and regrade it. But there, it just shows kind of your question breakdown. So then you could look at a question they were having trouble with and go back and see if it was a bad question or if it's just something you might need to reteach. Okay, the monitor button. When you click on the monitor button, it's going to bring this up, and you would click live view. Now, because this is so old, I'm not sure how it's going to look, so we're going to pull it up. Okay, and this is my math class again. Just ignore the names. And this shows which ones they got right. Now, this was a quiz that we had covered a lot, and so most of them on their second try got everything right. But if they got something wrong, and you'll see I've got a few who did, then it tells you which ones they got wrong and tells you their grade. Also, this student maybe he was absent a lot, and so he didn't get to this assignment, and so you can tell he didn't answer it. Okay, if you have more than one class and that you assign the assignment to all of them, you can view all classes. Again, I've only used this for my math class because I just started Duck Soup last year, so I don't have a lot of experience with that. Okay, So real quick,